Welcome back. Game Plan 2017 tonight. We are asking you, should the IEBC conduct the party primaries? Keep talking to us, 22422 on Twitter using the hashtag Game Plan 2017. In studio tonight, Johnson Sakaja, nominated MP. We also have Hassan Omar, Senator, Mombasa County, also Secretary General, Wiper Party, will be joining us. Okay, he's here now. He can come in. And we also have Felix Odhiambo, who's an electoral expert and also the Executive Director of ELGIA. ELGIA is the Electoral Law and Governance Institute for Africa. Thank you, gentlemen, for making time for us tonight. I'll start by playing a sound clip today. That is from Honorable Duale. We'll do it shortly. But first I'll start with you because this is the party position.
Yes.
You've been talking about it. Even after a High Court ruling the other day, we'll come to that shortly.
Yes.
First, why do you think IEBC should conduct the primaries?
Thank you. Number one, yes, it is indeed the position of Jubilee that we would like our nominations to be conducted by an independent body charged with elections, electoral matters, and that happens to be the IEBC.
Right.
The principle is that there is indeed need for, of course, fair, transparent, and credible processes. In as much as we believe we can do that, and in the past, I think we have been known as Jubilee, for doing free and fair nomination processes. But a nomination is as free and fair as it is also perceived to be, and we want to build on the culture that parties can be able to have such processes being done for them.
Right. Hassan Omar now joins us. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Senator Omar.
Yeah. Secondly, parties are indeed public institutions, and that's one thing we must realize. So the question we're asking is, how important is the nomination part of the electoral process? Because it's the nominations that present us a menu from which to choose from. The history in this country has been that, one, many political parties are used to either dishing out certificates, the winners not getting it. You hear people saying they've been rigged out. And so the law now has provided that a party may request the IEBC to conduct the nominations. It is not mandatory.
Right.
It is for a party to request that. We believe that as Jubilee, one, we are not interested in dictating who gets the certificate. We want it to be the will of the people. We want our candidates and all the aspirants to be assured that the people conducting the nomination process have no other interest. And the IEBC in the past has conducted the nominations and even elections for LSK and for different institutions. So we believe that is a way to go, so that we can have the leaders that the people actually want being presented to them.
Right.
And we've been having the discussion with the IEBC. If you saw this week, they were at our party offices. They met with Raphael Tuju and the rest of the secretariat. We formed a special committee of 6, 3 from Jubilee and 3 from IEBC. Now to look at the modalities, and there are many options that are being considered. Okay, and we'll look at what IEBC thinks about this. So far what we've heard from them, but let me bring in Senator Hassan Omar. What do you think about this?
I think what Jubilee is doing is to use law to fix a political problem. Initially, they had this anxiety about people having mass exodus from their party. So what they do, they put a law on party hopping. Then ultimately, even when you look at the Elections Law Amendment 2016, the ones which were controversial, what they did is, because the law was silent on funding, what then they did is to add a clause that when 2 or more parties apply to the IEBC, then Parliament should provide for funding.
Right.
So what they're doing is, one, to use taxpayers' money, and secondly is to use the law to fix a political problem. And thirdly, when the IEBC is just trying to meet various deadlines with respect to the election management process itself, you want to set it up for failure by then abandoning it with the nominations of the Jubilee Party. So probably it is desirable in the long term for the IEBC to be handling our party primaries, but one, parties must pay for it. Right. Secondly, that it should not be within the circumstances that the IEBC is right now trying to reorganize itself to hold an election on 9th of March. Right. 8th of August.
Felix, I want to bring you in shortly, but first let's take a look at what Honorable Adan Duale said today, because you've talked about the issue of funding and where this is coming from. And so many people also talking about it, like on 22422, Adan Mohammed in Laikipia says, as long as parties pay IEBC to boost the financial status of the electoral body and reduce the burden on taxpayers, then no issues. But that is not what Duale said today. If we can have a look.
Hatutaki ukora ya nomination. Na katiba ya Kenya inasema IEBC has a role to conduct party primaries. Na ile pesa watatumia, the resources they will use to conduct party primaries is provided in law, and Parliament has budgeted for those resources.
So a few things before I bring in Felix. First, and this also goes to Sakaja, because Senator Hassan has talked about it. Unless, and these are the amendments made, unless this is coming from multiple, if there are multiple requests.
Two or more.
Right now we're getting a request only from Jubilee. And the issue of funding, we've got
to just go to another small nondescript party called,
right, we'll see if that happens. But another ruling from the High Court, Justice John Mativo said there is no legal requirement under the Constitutional Elections Act for political parties' primaries to be funded from the exchequer or by public funds. We'll go into that.
Yeah.
Let him first weigh in on this matter.
First of all, let me say that the Honorable Duale is not right. The Constitution doesn't provide for the IEBC to conduct and manage party primaries. What the Constitution provides for at Article 88 4D is that IEBC will develop the process by which political parties' nomination will be regulated. And I think IEBC has in the past developed regulations to conduct party nominations.
Right.
But let me say this: I've maintained a consistent position over this matter since 2011, when the matter first came into the public discussion, and that was during the development of the deliberations for the Elections Act and the IEBC Act of 2011. And my position has always been that, in as much as there may be advantages in terms of enhancing, the process by which nominations are being done, the current political and electoral context does not allow the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to wade into the murky water of party politics for a number of reasons. One is that if you look at the strict timelines that IEBC must, in terms of activities and tasks that the IEBC must do between now and August 8th, in the month of March, IEBC will be receiving and helping political parties receiving nomination rules and procedure. The entire month of April will be devoted to party primaries and resolution of party disputes, one, by the Political Parties Dispute Committee, number two, the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal. The entire month of May is devoted to nomination before the returning officers. And thereafter, IEBC itself will have to resolve disputes arising from nomination.
Right. So,
and thereafter,
there's no time for that.
There is absolutely no time for that.
Let me first just correct a few things my brother said. And Karibu Sana, I know you've really rushed to get here. Number one, the issue of IEBC conducting the party primaries as a Jubilee position is not something that has come recently. It's a position that we have canvassed even before we launched Jubilee Party, because of what we believe, candidates and aspirants, the faith they must have. We have been saying that. I've said it here before we launched the party. Secondly, the issue of, you're saying party hopping, that Jubilee brought it. No, that was an agreement reached by that bilateral committee where your party was also represented. And so it was not a Jubilee position. It's a position that was taken by both parties. But I think just on this issue, I must say, number one, Kenya is already paying for political parties. URP, TNA, previously, ODM are funded by the public. I think we need to change our thinking about political parties. Political parties are not private entities. They're not private companies that are run by individuals, and that has been the case in the past. Political parties are public institutions, number one. And those institutions must uphold certain things to the public, and that is why we're saying that my personal opinion is that the parties should fund the process. That is my personal opinion, because parties collect nomination fees. Some parties are collecting fees, but they are not known to be funded, to be holding any credible nominations. There are parties, and I will not talk about them because they're not represented here today, but I mean, at least not directly in your coalition, that collected nomination fees in December to plan for which nomination, so people are using money. And finally, my friend, this is a country where we have seen presidential aspirants making money from candidates. But if you give somebody money, you're assured of a certificate.
Okay.
Hassan yourself, you earlier were in a certain political party, and you moved because of the anxiety towards nominations. And that is, my friend, here you vied one, and you say you are rigged out.
We know the history of nominations in this country.
Exactly.
And concerns have been raised.
That is not to mean parties should not continue to develop capacity internally.
To do their, right.
And reassure their membership base that they are capable of a free and fair nomination. So what Jubilee is having, I'm telling you, is the anxiety. Right now, everybody's taking flight. You see the pre-Jubilee exodus. Before the elections, everybody is moving to all other parties. No, you hardly hear of anybody moving into Jubilee.
I don't think
so. That's said and done. Now the fear they have is about the nomination process, and you cannot
that has been raised
to fix your problems.
That has been
fix
raised.
your problems in your house.
There are more than 25 people who moved from your parties. There are only less than 10 people who move from Jubilee. Just get your facts right.
Let me tell you another another point why it would be very difficult. If we look at it objectively, without the politics, IEBC will be expected to preside over nomination disputes, including potentially the disputes arising from the nominations that they
have conducted. That is exactly what I was going to ask Sakaja. How do you expect that to happen? First, there will be conflict of interest. And number two, we know the problem that has been with nominations in this country. There's always been fallouts.
Yes.
Some, fair, some not fair. Some still will blame IEBC as the body that conducted this. How will that augur for IEBC going to 2017 in the general election? There's a danger of denting IEBC's image. I'll
respond to those two things. Number one, the law has provided for that to be done. The IEBC itself, IEBC proper, has said that they're looking at options. We can have a special subset of the IEBC that deals with party primaries only. So that does not lose focus from the timelines you're talking about. The same way you have a political parties dispute tribunal, you have a political parties liaison committee, a subset, a subcommittee. The IEBC can also contract, audit firms can contract a company to do it. So it does not move away from the electoral process. But even that electoral process you're talking about, nomination is such an integral,
a key part.
Number two, you're saying that there might be a conflict because it is the same IEBC that arbitrates. Now, if it is done by a subset of the IEBC, they can arbitrate. Our law in this country is of a hierarchical nature. It's about a hierarchy of laws. A matter can be decided at magistrate's court, and then you can appeal that issue at the High Court, which also can then be appealed at the Court of Appeal. So there can be different stages of appeal even within the IEBC.
But where does that leave IEBC and its image?
No,
I'm giving you a specific example.
Yes.
For instance, if I were to vie for a position with you in your party.
For Nairobi governor.
For Nairobi governor, okay. For instance.
Yeah.
And you win fairly, and it's IEBC that conducted this election.
Yes.
But being a politician, I just decide, no, I'm going to discredit IEBC for what they did, whether I lost fairly or not. What kind of image will IEBC have going to 2017, to August election?
I think already in this country, people have been discrediting the IEBC for no particular reason. You don't even need a reason to discredit it. Give a dog a bad name and then and then kill it. But you see, what it prevents is this: once you know that the same body that is going to conduct the election, has involved you in the process. A free and fair nomination is not just the date; it's the process about membership registers and all that. And you lose out at that nomination when you know it is not because you're not a friend of Sakaja, maybe as a leader in the party. It is not because you're not a relative. We've seen parties where the nominations are just nepotism and corruption, etc. And you know that it is because the opponent has actually won you in a free and fair process where there is credibility. You will see less people trying to look for other parties.
Okay.
But let me tell you, let me say why that is a political problem. First and foremost, you bring all this and you endorse that Raila or ODM has been collecting money. When you said that there's a party collecting money in December, that was ODM.
Yes.
And so was our party collecting money in January and February. We have been collecting money. We're asking people because of we want to have the preparedness.
So what are you spending money on now?
We need to submit. We need to submit a a list of party nominees within the next month or so, by 28th of March. You need to submit a list of party nominees so that they are gazetted for the primaries.
Right.
And therefore, parties need to have preparedness. You appear to be quite puzzled about that, those deadlines. So that's it.
You're using an excuse.
So that's it.
Let's keep the discussion here.
There is nothing whatsoever. There is nothing whatsoever even stopping any party from collecting any nomination fee, opening up their nomination even last year or even the year before, because these are the things people must anticipate. But such as that, ultimately, what I wanted to say is the fact that when you have a political problem, fix it politically. If you decide as a party that you're going to allow unpopular candidates to be your nominees by fixing the nomination process, then the electorate has demonstrated it in a number of times. They have punished those parties. They have punished them so harshly. So if you as a party really are serious about winning an electoral contest and winning number of seats, winning the governorship, senatorship, whatever other seats that may present itself, then make sure you have a credible nomination and let the party.
Since we had multi-party, I mean, since this has been happening years on end, every election cycle. You can confirm that there has been problems with party primaries. They've always been shambolic. One of the key issues, and Mr. Carter, you can weigh in here, but one of the issues, reasons why Jubilee would want IEBC to handle this is to avoid these issues of shambolic elections.
The nomination again.
Now because we have heard from aspirants, Jubilee Party aspirants, who say they want no one else but IEBC.
Leave alone Jubilee aspirants. Why by aspirants?
Where?
Okay. I want
saying that they want they don't believe in it.
Let me put
your party leader has been going down the Ukambani already, crowning gubernatorial aspirants, and your own people, and we had it, your own people, Malombe in Kitui, we have had it in Makueni with Kivuta Kibwana.
You do too much analysis of the rumors of the other households.
What will be the problem with IEBC, because it's provided in law? What will be the problem with IEBC in doing this and ending this culture of shambolic primaries that we've been witnessing in the country?
I said it might be desirable in the long term. But in the interim, to set up the IEBC for failure within this short period of time, when the IEBC has to, do ballot papers, they have to procure to do an audit of register, they have to do literally every other thing, and you're talking about it having another subset. Even if it has a subset, it must have a national-wide network to conduct your elections, so it will almost need a staff capacity that can run a general election. Secondly, in terms of resources, you can't bill the taxpayer on everything. You see, if parties are being run by the IEBC or by taxpayers' monies already, Wiper gets maybe about 100 million. You get about maybe double that. That's manageable in terms of running political parties. But when you're talking about running a nomination for a party, you're talking about them allocating about 2 billion or 3 billion to that nomination process. It's not as cheap as it wants you to make it appear.
Let him weigh in on this.
Yeah, well, you're right. Party nominations have been a problem since '92. But I don't think, whereas there are merit into IEBC conducting nominations,
right.
I think that the timing is absolutely not right, especially now.
Is it?
And I was giving Mr. Mheshimiwa Sakaja an example just the other time. During in the period surrounding the JUMP merger, I think there was a time where the party allowed people to contest. I don't know whether there were elections for the leadership of JAP or those who will conduct elections. And you can almost imagine, and you can remember how the kind of tension, the kind of polarization, and in certain instances actually degenerating into outright fights. I was giving him example of Embu County, and indeed other places. Now, the stakes during those party elections or whatever were actually lower. When it comes to nominations, the stakes are much higher, and more so in the so-called traditional strongholds of JAP, the entire Mount Kenya region, Rift Valley, and for CORD, for example, if CORD was to do this in Luo Nyanza, you can imagine the stakes. If you win a CORD nomination in Luo Nyanza, you almost, ODM nomination, you're almost as good as elected. So these nominations will actually be mini general elections. So you are right. If IEBC agrees to do this, they will dent their credibility in a manner that they will never recover from it.
What if you look at it the other way?
Yes.
I'll read that. I'll read another tweet. I'll read a tweet here from Telkebon. Flip this argument you're both saying here. He says the IEBC should conduct the primaries. If successful, they gain confidence of Kenyans in August.
Absolutely.
Listen,
but
no Kenyan ever loses the nomination process. I talked to almost all politicians. The nominations was botched. The nominations was fixed. Even this guy, even if IEBC was to conduct the nomination, he will tell you how Sonko or whoever else, went and met. He had his own structure. He had his own people. Every other person. And by the time you resolve the myriad of disputes, you'll have mud IEBC into such controversy because everybody is going to literally challenge. The disputes that arise from just one party in terms of nomination disputes. So for me, I think it's a totally bad idea, and I think we hope the court's intervention will be able to mitigate this.
Right. As you respond, let's listen to what Chebukati said about this. Then you respond. You respond immediately.
If we were nominating 1 year like Ghana.
Of course, our first wish is that I wish political parties would hold primaries without involving us. Capacity we have, but we are talking about logistics. And we're also talking about our timelines towards the August 8th general election. We have a lot of things on our table. We have to do the register which you have mentioned. We have to do verification. We have to do a lot of things related to voter education and others. So it's more of the workload which we have.
They're not really keen on doing this, are they?
I mean, that was when the meeting was being held. And after that, they have formed a subcommittee together with Jubilee, to look at that. I must point out this. One, the law is clear that a party may request. It is not mandatory.
Yes.
And it is interesting to see that the parties who do not want it don't want anybody else to have it. And what is the reason for this? You have said it rightly. The shambolic nature of nominations. No party wants to juxtapose or the contrast between a proper, credible, clean nomination that is fair being done by Jubilee and theirs now with buckets and full scaps and violence. We've seen people dying in the party primaries. That juxtaposition alone, would be a huge political cost for them. So that is why, they're not being forced to use the IEBC to do nominations, but they don't want anybody else to be able to have an independent body doing the nominations. In terms of timelines, the subset of the IEBC dealing with that especially can be able to handle it. And I've said again, I don't believe that it is then necessary for the IEBC, of public funds to fund one political party as the law provides to do that. You collect nomination fees, hundreds of millions of shillings. The same nomination fees you collect are the same ones you're going to do a nomination yourself. Why don't you bring an independent person? Anybody who is fearing that is somebody who knows in their party. They want to issue direct tickets to certain individuals. They know in their party, for you to get the nomination certificate, you're paying for it. And we've had tales from governors who look at me. Some are being asked for 50 million shillings. Some are being asked for 60 million shillings to assure them. We have people who had given 5 million and somebody else brought 10 million and the certificate was taken away. Can we cleanse our process?
When you go to first year in school, there's a subject called communication skills. And in those subjects, they tell you about direct and indirect, the way in which you can communicate. When Chebukati tells you all that, it's like a lady who tells you, there are stereotypes about our family, there's the religious limitations, there are so many other limitations that it will be very difficult for me to get your hand. And you think the lady's playing hard. That was actually directly telling you, go sort out your own mess.
IEBC can say that.
That is exactly what IEBC was trying to tell you. What IEBC then went ahead with, the subcommittee notwithstanding, it knows that you're setting it up for failure, and it is desirable on our part that IEBC focuses on the job of the August 8th election. And
I think the IEBC can speak for itself.
But
if Chebukati just spoke, Chebukati just spoke. Did you hear him?
It should also be
just listen. If they feel that they do not want to do this, they have a right to say, one, we are not ready to conduct any party primaries, and
it is desirable for
number
every party
number
to
number two,
let me just
let me finish. They can say no.
What you want
They can say no. We don't have time for body language and reading the spirit of someone's.
But from what they, it's not about the language. From what they say, their timeline.
The IEBC can just say no.
It is direct.
But I
the
think
IEBC are able to say no. And secondly, just let me finish. Secondly, apart from just saying no, the IEBC itself, if they feel that there is a lacuna within the laws, or they feel that there's one law is conflicting with another, they have the right as an institution to then go and seek constitutional review in court, not for code to try and do that on behalf of the IEBC. So we want an electoral commission that is bold enough to say, yes, we're going to do it, and these are the conditions, or no, we're not going to do it.
I'll get the final comments from Felix. Yes.
But I think the point is that the jury is still out there. on the credibility and the independence of IEBC. And I think the IEBC, as we speak, has engaged in a serious effort of trying to rebrand itself, trying to reclaim that lost glory. Remember, when we went to the last election, the approval rating for IEBC was 86%. Now it's somewhere at 36%. I think let's give the IEBC time to work on its credibility, to prepare for the 6 elective offices, to be able to focus on the very strict timelines that are provided for in law and things like that. And it is not about CORD or Jubilee. I think even if it CORD or NASA or Jubilee wanted this, I think right now, in as much as there are merits to allowing IEBC to conduct this nomination, the timing is absolutely not right. And it will dent the credibility of IEBC in a manner that it will never recover.
Okay, and this is what you're saying about this. 22422, we have somebody says, those who made the law made a mistake. A political parties commission should have been created to conduct party primaries. As for now, IEBC's schedule is too crowded to conduct party primaries. It will also be a conflict of interest to listen to complaints arising from an election they supervised. James Segan Kiambu says, I suggest the IEBC to request the Ghana electoral body to conduct party primaries on its behalf. I don't know what you guys think about that. Is that an option?
The Ghana electoral body. Absolutely. The point there is, listen, Kenya has learned how to fix their own problems. But
Chiloba himself said as CEO, and he proposed it when we had, he had a meeting in Parliament, and he proposed, look, yes, we can do it, but you can allow us to even outsource this to a subset of the IEBC or a special or whatever firm to beat those deadlines. They can be able to do that.
I want to totally agree with Felix. I think that law is a candidate for amendment. I mean, we know which, even in that bilateral committee, we know who was proposing what and who wanted
what.
So
your own
but it's the same court which has told you that that we are going to court. Was Antorengo sitting in that committee? So don't
let's go about this.
For us,
you don't think outsourcing is an option?
What was our principal goal in terms of the select committee is to get rid of the IEBC. That has happened. Now the rest is subject to even amendments, as you've already been doing it to bastardize the concurrence of the agreements. And for us, we need to ensure that we strengthen to a point where you do not cloud the IEBC at a time
even
when we want to
outsourcing is not an option.
Listen, if you want to outsource, if I want to get to that point, why do I need to go through you? If you want to outsource anybody else to do your nomination, an independent body, an audit firm or whatever,
go straight to them.
Just go straight
all right,
to them.
let's take a look at your feedback again on Twitter. This is what you're saying. Right, we have Peter Ogada. Where will they get the time to conduct this Jubilee primaries, I'm wondering? Kiplangat, Ledama, no, I don't think they should. Already IEBC says they don't have enough time to plan the main election. Nafis Novich, IEBC should not soil its reputation by conducting party primaries. Let them prepare for the general election. At Ismail's legitimacy of election lies in primaries, and burden of ensuring free and fair elections lies with IEBC Kenya. And that text again that I read, somebody who says IEBC should conduct the primaries if successful. They gain confidence of Kenyans. That is Tolkevo on Twitter. Honorable Sakaja, thank you so much.
That was the danger, and I think it's very important.
We have run out of time.
The danger is this.
The Kenyans
as Kenyans,
I'm telling you,
let us not run away from the fact that nominations are such an important process.
Right.
Let's not sanitize the shambolic nature of what's happening in parties by saying timelines, etc. It is extremely important for us to get it right. As you believe, we will get it right.
They do not want IEBC to
right, okay.
The majority of views.
We're getting views from both sides on the 22422 on Twitter. Some saying IEBC should do it, some saying IEBC should not do it.
The majority of
but thank you so much for making time for us. Senator Hassan Omar, Senator Mombasa County, also the Secretary General of WIPA, nominated MP Joseph Sakaja, and of course Felix Odhiambo, who is the Executive Director of LG Electoral Law and Governance Institute for Africa. Keep the conversation going. You can still text us 22422 and on Twitter using the hashtag GamePlan2017. Thank you so much again for making time for us, and thank you for watching Sunday Live tonight. I'm Hussein.